Got it. And then just.
All right. All right, folks, we're gonna get started. I'll go ahead and call our Sherwood City Council work session into order on October 17th, 2023 at 6 o'clock in the evening. We got two items on the agenda tonight for our work session: a council goals update and roundabout artwork. Yeah, anyways, we got two sessions, so we're gonna, I think the first item tonight, Keith, you're gonna go ahead and go over our council goals.
Yeah.
Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just as a reminder, last time we met, we finished the 2022-2023 goals. That was kind of a recap of those. These are the 23-24 goals. Many of them are still the same, but there is a few differences. So this is just our first update for our adopted goals for the 23-24 fiscal year. So the first pillar is economic development, and listed below that is a list of all of our goals in economic development. I just want to go over some of the deliverables in this area. So just a little bit so we can hopefully see. There we go. So 1.1 is improved development code to promote stronger economic development. We have two items on this first page, which is the code audit for stakeholder meetings to determine opportunity for improvement, and then the process amendments. So for A, we've conducted industrial commercial developer and broker tours for Sherwood West, and gate input and additional interviews are scheduled for 2024. And for our process amendments, the director interpretation on site plan review types to reduce approval timelines. Additional procedure changes may occur after interviews with stakeholders and design professionals.
How many tours would you say we've done?
Eric, what would you say? Tours we've done, does?
For industrial, oh man, I mean, Bruce has done a lot.
Bruce has done a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I would say this fiscal year, we probably have been at a dozen at this point. 1.2 is to create annexation policies and processes to manage growth. And the new annexation policy for Sherwood West have been drafted and shared with council. If desired, the staff can also work on new annexation policies for the Brickman addition and any other areas of the city. 1.3 is to target metrics for job and housing balance. Kind of this internal goal is the city should strive for 45% assessed property value, be commercial industrial. This is on par with more balanced communities that are listed. Based on the 2023 EOA, the city needs to add 3,000 new jobs to have a jobs housing balance.
Did we?
Go ahead.
Apologize.
No.
I wasn't at the session. Did we align on the 45%? Or is that?
It's just kind of an internal looking at.
So our goal is, our goal is to hit that number, or our goal is to get closer to that number.
Close to that number, I think would be.
I feel like we should be deliberate about. There may not be a desire to get 45% in some ways, right? But
Yeah, and we had another metric that we were tracking for a while, which was, we looked at that from a property tax point of view. So the percentage of property tax coming in from housing versus commercial versus industrial. And I think that's probably the ideal, the easier way to measure that.
it feels like we should have a more robust conversation about target metrics along these lines. I think there probably needs to be more than one single metric, and we should probably align on what we agree are those targets.
Yeah.
This, Tim, I think this is what you just mentioned, 45% of the assessed value to be commercial industrial relative to residential.
Yes.
So that's the metric, and
So do we have,
saying is, let's make sure that number is right.
I don't remember ever having a conversation about that number. So if that's the number the staff is proposing, then if we just want to accept that, we can do that, or we can have an internal conversation in a
I
future
think
work session.
Bruce brought some information at some meeting that he had checked with the surrounding community. So we never said, yes, let's, vote on that, but that's what staff brought. Yeah. The
Yeah,
information they brought.
that number is mainly coming from other communities that we are striving for, but I think certainly we could. We need a consultant for sure, we need funds to do this, but look at a number that's more appropriate for Sherwood, just getting the type of development we have, because not all commercial and industrial is the same, right? So this is going to be priced a lot higher. So we could probably refine that number, but that's a number that Wilsonville to Walton, for example, those two mainly about where they're at.
Yeah, I guess I just go back to, I don't know that. I don't know how realistic it is to target the same number that Wilsonville and Tualatin achieve, and I also don't know how desirable it may be for all members of the community. Or even of this council, so that's all. I think we're all aligned on, we need to grow, we're not at any risk in the short term of surpassing our goals, so. It's more of thinking about,
We have a lot of room.
yeah, it's a long way between here and there.
To get to that ceiling that you guys might be concerned about.
Completion adoption, sure would be.
I apologize.
Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
we want to have a work session to delve into that a little bit more deeply? You were kind of implying you wanted to, because
Well, I feel like we probably need to do some, I don't know, maybe we need to have conversations with K2 in our one-on-ones first to decide. I mean, I'm just one voice, but. I also don't like, do we want to have a single, like, I do data analytics all the day. We don't run everything off of one metric, right? We have multiple metrics you track, and so. Do we want to be that simplistic, or do we want to have 3 or 4 or 5 different metrics we may want to be tracking for that won't all rise at the same rate, and maybe you're helping to achieve the goal in different ways? Maybe I'm overthinking this, and
well, no, if you measure it, it gets better. Be careful what you measure, right?
right.
Yeah, so, but I was also thinking this first item, the slide above that. On the, it'd be interesting to get a readout too of what we're learning on all these commercial tours and stuff, because it's not just about the tax balance, it's about what industries we're trying to attract, what type of jobs we're trying to attract, et cetera. So I don't know, what's the will of council? Is that something?
On the tours and stuff, do we do a follow-up, where we figure out why they went somewhere else, or why they, what they're looking for, you know what I mean? Like all those bits of data that might be helping craft our thoughts on short stuff like that, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, and I think everyone here knows that's sort of the Bruce's just masterpiece, skill is following up, building a relationship, and if they're going somewhere else, figuring out why. And most, Keith and I were talking about this earlier, most people that we engage with, I mean, Bruce and I and Keith and the planning department, we meet with so many people. I mean, almost daily, we meet with a different developer, property owner, whatever, architect, and a lot of them don't actually move forward with the project, but just having those meetings is important. We're taking information from them, they're taking information from us.
Yeah,
We want to be accommodating too. So if someone wants to reach out to us, we want to make ourselves available.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
can have those conversations, answer their questions.
100%. I just don't want to go, so like I think when I first got on council, there was some lore that was shared as to, that where they would say, I heard, oh, City Hall is difficult to deal with. It wasn't matching my experience. And then I hear from other people, oh no, it's gotten better. And so I want to make sure I'm not going over after old data or old, I'd rather have measurable stuff, like Councilor Scott says, I'm in data all day, every day anyway, and so I would love to have, but I know that some of it is conversational, right? And so I got to figure out how to capture
Well, to
that.
your point, I've heard that too, but then when I drill down and ask, well, when did that happen?
Oh,
Yeah, and it was like 5 years ago.
Exactly, so I don't want to go off of stale data, I would rather refresh it, but I
We roll out the red carpet treatment now,
But my
red carpet
question
team.
was, of all those, obviously Bruce is a master at connecting dots and making projects happen in his community. He's really good at it. But my question was more about, what are we learning from all that? What's that summary, and how does that, what do we need to know as council in terms of policy and stuff like that, in terms of jobs? That's kind of where I was going.
I think we can maybe that, but I think you want to go back, because you're talking about the tours, you want to go back one, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, Bruce and I are talking about this, so we're tossing around different ideas for how to actually get even more feedback. We haven't, like, in terms of our code, so there's kind of two things that it says there. Code, development code, we really don't have concern. There's no developers that are saying your code is too restrictive. Whatever, other communities do that. We hear that about Tualatin, actually, that they're open to develop code that's like strictly manufacturing. And developers are like, we're not gonna get financing for it if we can't show we can do more uses, things like that. We don't have that issue with our code. And in fact, the employment industrial zone, talking employment area, we get compliments on the flexibility of the code. That's in terms of land uses. I also don't think that our design standards for industrial are overly restrictive either. They're pretty simple and they lead to pretty nice buildings. If we get it right. One thing that I think we could improve on and get feedback on is process. And we did one for that's B. We did one for our large projects and the companies that we're probably talking about wanting to attract and really cater to here. That process amendment isn't going to help them all that much. They're going to go to planning commission no matter what, for the most part. There could be some, I really call it like administrative, just making sure that our internal process in the planning engineering department, all that is streamlined. People aren't getting caught up in the land use phase and then the engineering phase and the building permit phase. I think if we're to do, process amendments, it's more administrative. Let's make sure our department, and it runs very well right now, but sure, I'm sure we can speed things up if we're going to take a look and ask developers where the sticking points are and things like that. Just one example, I'll stop talking. Building commercial plan review, we know is an example. We outsource that to Claire company because we don't have the in-house expertise. We know we have complaints there for sure. And so that's an area that we can look at to maybe bring on the party or something else. But in terms of code, no complaints.
So I mean, part of the goal was a code audit. We're not getting complaints, but in terms of like process and stuff for the changes, we could be making a code to help you streamline things.
Yeah, we wouldn't need a code, we wouldn't need code updates. We would need, that'd be on me as director overseeing
Okay.
planning building to make sure that we have the right contracts in place. We need 2 contracts for plan review and switch off to lessen the review timeline, things like that. So I think it'd be maybe administrative process improvements for just getting the developer through the whole process, start to finish.
Okay, so it sounds like a work session giving you time to prepare to kind of talk about what we're learning based on all the tours and like the hotel tours as well,
Yeah.
and then to talk about metrics. Everybody think that's a good idea?
Our current metric is what, 18%? Is that where we're at?
Or
Yeah.
current, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we can bring back other metrics as well, go into that one. Like I'm saying, industries, how many, and I think Bruce sends out a really detailed summary.
It's a great report.
We can actually take any of the extra out of that and say, here's how many we actually attracted to Sherwood. Here's how many actually signed the lease. Here's what the industry is. So we could drill down on some of that work as well.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions on this?
I know.
Yeah, sure, gotta get going. All right, sorry.
Basically, 1.4 and 1.5, I think are pretty self-explanatory. Pillar 2 is infrastructure with our goals listed here. 2.1 is a duplicate, it's kind of a pillar 1, so we've talked about that already. 2 is a pedestrian bridge, so our 100% design was completed on the 23rd. And then for the bridge construction, we've extended the due date for 2 additional weeks to October 31st, 2023 due to the complexity. And are looking to bring that back on November 21st to a council meeting, so. On that. And the Cedar Creek pedestrian wildlife undercrossing, we have a work session scheduled for December to discuss options with money availability, so we're bringing that back. And then the 30% hasn't been started yet. Before is the Sherwood broadband fiber to the home project is ongoing on that. And then to complete the YMCA agreement 2.5, purchase sale agreement is completed and currently in due diligence with expected closing this winter still. So a lot of information on this one, but purchase and replace antiquated software. We're doing a lot of software work and updates right now. Pardon me.
That was me.
Shouldn't have had Taco Bell. Yeah.
That was Chewbacca.
So we talked about Bamboo in here, which is an upgrade software we've talked about before for HR. We've looked at a small service agreement for current customizations, help refine pricing and scope of finance software. Meeting with vendor for the software updates we talked about for finance. Working with community development on finding an online permitting solution for house bill requirements. And we have a demo coming in mid-October. I think it's next week.
I think that's.
Oh,
Do we need to pair that with the website?
that's coming up in, we talked about that.
Right, in that demo, do we need to figure out, is it gonna work with whatever the RFP is for the website, right? Do we need to tell them we've gone out for our, you know what I mean, like, do we need to give them a heads up to say how,
And we can definitely just make sure that they're aware of other projects we're working on.
because that's your big concern with it too, right?
Well, eventually, you gotta integrate everything.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it'd be really expensive if you don't plan for it up front.
Yeah, sorry, we're making sure that any company that we actually use within community development is compatible. It will be compatible, so
great, okay,
Brad's in on this.
perfect.
So reconfigure existing software to adapt to current needs. Again, just information there that we're currently working on. Typo I see now as I'm looking through it, develop shovel-ready fiber expansion projects. We have 3 rural projects that are shovel-ready and plan to include them upcoming grant requests for the state of Oregon. So we have some information on there. Funding of 2 of the projects, 3 projects requested through Representative Salinas. And we're getting preliminary engineering on additional areas for upcoming state and federal broadband grants. Bergen Street Brownfield cleanup, new public works facility. Working with Washington County to acquire the 3 lots. Today, I received an email from Craig that the county has officially accepted that. So it's kind of a hot off the presses type since it's gone out. So we completed an RFP for environmental cleanup of the site and currently in the protest period. And just continuing work on that. So we're excited that the county has accepted our request for acquiring the 3 lots and paperwork's coming through for us to complete that transaction. Craig, did I miss anything on that?
No, it's just that the board of commissioners approved it on the. So,
Great news.
Yeah.
yeah, so how that ended up working out is 3 months that we have to come to just out on the farm facility. And then also there's 3 quick credit deeds on a couple right of way, small pieces, one in front of Walgreens that would be come to the city. As well as there's another one, I forget off of Edie, but it's just already developed land kind of deal. So Walgreens actually maintains and it cleans the process up. Because you know, so ODOT and the city of Sherwood are sitting on ODOT, this strips of Washington County, and then we got the city of Sherwood. So
Bullet 3 is livability and workability. The goals are listed below. 3.1 was considered an age-friendly city certification. That's been completed, so congratulations on that. Design concepts for single-story flex building in front of the lot. We requested services from 4 or 5 architects to help city council determine future sites. Responses, we didn't receive any responses from any architects, so we're gonna probably need to go back out to see if we can get someone to come in. So we might be pushing that out a little bit further before we have that initial conversation.
yeah, so around 2 weeks, we had little. That project. So I was hoping to have something on the 21st or session absolutely here. I think that's gonna have to push it out and go back out and we tomorrow. Thanks to the everybody's busy, so it's.
Right. Ask somebody come help council figure out what do you know, we don't even, yeah.
Plan for Sea Creek Trail amenities, the park board recommended the feeder trail route inside of fencing in September 23. Working with ODOT on permitting, we'll bid acoustic fencing in November of this year and a feeder trail in December of 23 or early 24. And then the public park and the roundabouts, this is foreshadowing for our next work session right after this one.
On the acoustic fencing, that's to cut the noise on 99 down from all the homes over there.
Correct.
From when they thinned out all the trees during the project.
So it's kind of like. Saying
Yeah, there was a lot of complaints about dust and noise.
3.5 is monitor housing, track progress issues, actively participate as needed in legislative rulemaking committees. A is develop annual report on housing. Staff will work to provide an annual report on new housing units constructed each year to council. And then participate in rulemaking and track changes. Staff has been really active in this process as well, working with the governor's office and helping align our recommendations with council goals and policies. 3.6 is city employee recognition and appreciation programs.
I apologize. On 3.5A, is there a time frame for when you're going to have the first report on housing production?
We're actually required to provide this information to the state each year, and I think it's at the end of the year, beginning of the year time period. So that's what we would bring it to you.
So do we have one for last year?
Yeah, we get to.
Yeah, we should bring it forward.
Be nice to the last couple of years if it's not too much work. So
I don't think it will be also building department.
we can kind of create a trend line. I mean, you already probably have that, but it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah, and do some simple analysis on it, sure.
HR has really been doing a great job with our employee, city and volunteer recognition and appreciation programs. So just information listed on there and some of the things that we've been doing with that. 3.7 is programs to encourage innovation, creative solutions. We've had initial conversations and programs and incentives. The police department's institute a simple one as well.
Going
Yes.
back up to 3.6, has there been a decision made about the December, what? We do in the December meeting, the volunteer meeting, or does that push it into April?
We're gonna do it in April.
Okay.
With the timeframe of recognition of volunteers. And so we've already started to have conversations about this.
Yeah.
Okay, and are we doing this, are you wanting SWOT analysis from the committees or?
So the kind of conversation we're having now is that celebration, whatever that looks like. Kristen, I know has been thinking and working on that. We'll celebrate not only our board and commission members, but our other volunteers. And then for the SWOT analysis, the goal is we're going to replace that process with what we talked about when we had the joint session, where we have meetings leading up to visioning with them to make sure we understand what's working, what's not working. What would you guys like to see in the visioning and stuff like that? So we're well informed when we go into visioning.
Okay, so we might want to have a follow-up conversation. I say that because it came up in the advisory board the other day.
Which one?
The senior advisory.
Okay.
Awesome. I think we have another work session scheduled with that as well.
Cool, thank you.
I'm really very excited about that.
All
I
of
think
that.
that'd be fun.
No, I didn't.
Such an
Great, I just wanted to follow up and make sure.
I guess back on that same point then is, and making sure each of the staff liaisons to the boards and commissions know that we're not gonna do the SWOT process. Which
Yeah, we
most of
can,
them
we
are
can,
probably.
yeah, they're
city
all here, but we can, I can make sure.
I would say a more robust,
Yeah.
more interactive process.
And then has the date, I'm sorry, has the date been, it's in April. I know it's around the same time as the police advisory board.
Same week.
It's the 25th.
Okay, thank you.
April 25th.
We're gonna share the theme and some police.
So keep your boots and bling.
All right,
Yeah.
I won't be able to be at either one, but
So we'll not have any boots. No, I will never wear cowboy boots.
3.8 is involved community and other government partners in discussions, the importance of community health and wellness. We have your program draft complete and project include monthly suggestions. We started this in July with financial health, and then monthly notices are being set to include in links and webinars as we're moving forward. Review city-owned property as it related
I
to.
apologize on 3.8. Can we get a copy of the draft? Take a look.
Sure.
Or what's the response been? Thumbs up from the employees, or they don't care?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of them enjoyed the health and wellness, the fair that Lydia put on. I mean, if you serve them food, they're gonna come, but I was walking around and hearing staff really engaging with all the vendors that were there.
That's right.
well, and to that point, Courtney was going to come back and do some more work with us on the mental health issue. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Courtney.
Courtney, you're on.
Or Senator Harrell.
Mental health.
Is she proposing legislation or?
I don't know, because after the 2 meetings ago, when she was here with her staff, mental health was a big issue. And so she was going to circle back with me because she knows I'm passionate about mental health. and do another meeting of some sort. But she lost her staffer that was in charge of that, so. Anyway,
Then we haven't done any work on 3.9 yet. City-owned property as it related to community gathering spaces and community enhancements. Look, four is public safety. The goals are listed below. Funding for additional SRO as a result of the school board levy passing, a second RO was assigned to the middle school as of October 1st of 2023. It's Preston Newman. I've heard positive feedback from that as he's begun his work there.
Does that mean we're splitting the cost with them like we are other?
Yeah, correct. We do need to work on a new, agreement, but yeah, that's what we're doing. Enhanced visibility and use of police reserve program. City added 2 new reserve officers in April to bring our total reserve officers to 3.
Didn't we just hire one of them?
Yeah, the chief had to step out, but I think one of them just went to our.
We just moved one of our reserves to a full-time officer, and we have 3 new reserve officers that we have currently going through backgrounds. And
So we have, so we technically have 2 now, 3 more in the.
And understand this backgrounds that we may not have any come out of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then you pass a resolution to support the safe routes to school by both the school district and the city, and city and school district staff are meeting to begin implementation of that program.
So on that one, you have both 0 to 1 and 2 to 3. So what's our goal for this year versus next year on that?
I really think this is, I mean, for both of these, we're going to see reserve officers find new positions.
Safe routes to school. I'm sorry.
Service in schools. This is going to be a process of identifying what route they want to work with, working with that school to get community support. And then to start working on grant proposals and programs, like pretty much covering that, right? So I think this will be a multi-year process.
So are we identifying potential projects then? Or do we just have that kind of, that's kind of back of the hand?
We'll get an update from Joy. Joy's project manager on it. I don't know if we've identified a school at this point. I know, I believe this zone year 0 to 1 will do events, which we've done in the past, the bike and roll or walk around and stuff like that. And I think like Keith mentioned, safe routes to school there's a lot of stuff you can do, and it's kind of like, all right, let's get together with the school, figure out the location, and then figure out what do we actually want to tackle? Is it capital projects, or is it just education? And so we really need to develop a work program. So that would be 0 to 1 as well. I think that would tell us what we're doing in the 2 to 3 year mark.
Do we have time for our next joint meeting to have a conversation on them? I mean, the education is great. We need to do that, but getting capital to fund street improvements and all that kind of stuff is, I don't know about you guys, but that would be nice. But
We can talk to Joy and see where we're at in the process.
make sure we're in line with the school district on that as well. One of the reasons it's top of mind, I can't remember what city I was talking to at the conference, League of Oregon Cities Conference. And they're using safe routes to school to help pay for a pedestrian bridge, for instance. So.
So 4.4 is develop a list of outreach methods to include more our programs to recruit and retain officers. So this sitting over there are some of the things that we've been doing. And also working on improving officers' education on benefits, PERS, 457, information like that. So we're really working to make sure officers know what services and availabilities we have. Sabbatical program has begun. I think Chief isn't here, but I think we're on officer number 9 right now in this going through the sabbatical program. That has been wildly successful and appreciated.
We already have 9, 8. We've already done 8.
I think we're on, I think number 9 is happening right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I talked to
Catching up.
yeah, well, but I talked to him about it as well, and because we were the first to do it, it's got the lateral draw potential, like they're hearing about it from other agencies, which is kind of part of the plan. See if we can get some of those people.
Obviously, we won't have 9 on an annual basis.
No, yeah, you're right. Identifying complete info for sidewalk improvements ADA. So this was started in March of 2023 and should be completed by the end of November 23 with the implementation of the 24-25 budget. Develop an action plan for the county to improve safety on county owned roads and then Sherwood UGB not started, no staff out, currently allocated on this project for this year.
So then, Mayor, on this 4.6, should it just be then a yellow sticker, not a green and yellow sticker? Since 001 is nothing's gonna happen?
Well, I think when you're asking me the question, I think the wider question is are we okay with that as a priority and nothing happening on that till next year? That's the real question.
Haven't we gotten agreement on lowering the
ED&L work.
lowering ED&L? So it feels like we've done something on here, whether we'll live under this goal or not.
I look at this as kind of a broader, scope and review. But you're correct, we have done the EDL work and that has been
I
completed.
mean, if we want to make this a priority that gets worked on this year, then what are we taking off?
Yeah. That's the priority conversation, right?
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of it in terms of, we still have yet to approve MISTIP projects for the next cycle. We have one of the roads that was preliminary that we'd all kind of agreed to was ED road improvements. I think it was $7 million. Probably won't get that much from MISTIP, but just making sure we're in a position to show that we're ready for those funds. That would be my only concern. That we have everything, all our ducks in a row, that we're not going to get thrown off the list because we're not as prepared as other communities.
I mean,
Excellent point.
I would be happy to move this up the priority list. I mean, where we vote are we pushing down? I would personally probably put this a little higher than the one above it. If it's a trade-off, if that's a trade-off that could be made, but I don't know if it is.
Doug, are you suggesting are these deliverables in a priority list of 4.1 is the number
I'm
one
not saying
priority?
I'm just going based on what the city manager said, we're working on 4.5, but we're not working on 4.6. And I would suggest that 4.6 would be more important, but I'm not sure that that's a trade-off that might not be the same people, so I don't know if that's a trade-off that could even be made.
Well, and this 4.5 has already been started. There's already steps completed.
4.5 is
Requirement has
a
been set.
mandate. that we
Oh, okay.
Have done. We should have had it done.
To resolve the lawsuit. Okay, but do we have a list of like everything that's, I guess it'd be helpful to have like a list that shows here, maybe how do we, it's hard to prioritize when we're seeing it in this format. Is there?
And maybe.
It's right there on the wall.
Maybe, right, but also like, it's not stacked, it's all not stack ranked against itself. Second of all, we don't know that like. Who's doing what? Because I could like tell us, I think we have to better ask the question is, if we wanted to move this up, what are our options? And you tell us, well, I could move this other thing down or this other thing down, right? Versus
I
us
think-
trying to figure that out.
I think part of the challenge we're facing right now, and Craig, and correct me if I'm wrong, is engineering. We're down a position in engineering. And we've been trying to fill that position without success. We are looking at about doing some outsourcing right now, but our first recruitment was unsuccessful. These positions are really difficult to recruit for, so I know we're going out for a second round of interviews, but that's what's impacting a little bit of our ability.
So if we had engineering, we could start executing this.
Well, I think there's a couple things that's gotta go on here is how we're gonna pay for it. And staffing. Right now in the 23-24 budget, we do not have any staffing allocated to that project, right?
Well, that's what we're just asking.
But what we're saying though is, Craig, if we were to say, if we definitely wanted this to be worked on, who on your team would work on it, and what are they working on now that we would be kicking off the list?
So we're gonna work on this project and bring in an outside engineering firm to help us do this.
Oh, there's nobody in-house
We
that,
have a city engineer right now,
Yeah.
we have a civil engineer, who does all the private development. Plus they're working on Operate, Brookman, Ice Age, Pet Bridge, they're kind of combined on Ice Age right now.
okay,
So maybe we just need to understand what the cost, if we wanted to bring in an outside engineer, what would that cost us to be able to start? You don't have to answer that right now, obviously.
Yeah, so we can look at it, but also you're gonna have to get with the county to find out if they have what their staffing levels is, because we can't just go in and start saying what's going on with the county roads, so they gotta be a partner at the table too. Staffing data.
should we get a consultant to do that partnering, or does that also take our time?
It's a high priority for you guys, we'll put something together.
Oh, no, but I don't want to just keep adding to it. I want to say, hey, what else could we take off the list?
Right now, You got two major projects that about, what, 23 and 18 that we're trying to
Yeah.
find some problems on.
Yeah,
That if I say Drive's the top priority and the Ped Bridge is the top priority, that's a lot of work and there's a lot
Yeah.
of money going out there, a lot of risk financially.
so in my mind, I don't think this is a higher priority than either of those two.
Yeah, no.
I agree with that, but I'm trying to understand if we were to hire folks to help us with that, can you, if we found the money to do that, could it work?
It would be me.
Well,
And it'd be where I can get the help, because that's where we're at with the engineering department right now.
so, and would it be cheaper, and I know this would be an ongoing cost, but if we said, all right, let's sweeten the deal for the one, or, after the one that failed, but for whatever position we're trying to backfill, we need to.
You get into pay equity issues then.
Okay, well, something's gotta, this feels like a logjam that has to.
But is 4.6 more of a lobbying type thing than an engineering type thing? Because I mean, if the point in the near term is making sure that we get a project on Mistip, it's
Why don't we start with that part?
Well, that's a really good point. I mean, we should sit down and understand what we need to have in place to be successful and then attack it from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that might push it into the next budget year anyways, and so yellow's probably right. I mean, we're already,
I think.
we have lobby firms already on board too, as well.
will they work with the county, our lobby people?
They can work with anybody.
Hmm.
In my opinion.
Pillar 5 is fiscal responsibility. 5.1 is pursue federal grants and monies. In terms of repeatable back forward, receive 3 million for restrictive ICH Drive from Berkeley and Wyden's office and 2 million for rural broadband expansion, which request was reduced to $1 million. So still working on that. Pursue state grants and monies, applied for Business Oregon grant in the corridor spring of 23, which we were successful in receiving. Engineering work has been done in 3 additional areas. It's kind of repeat of 5.1, and Centerwood has included 2 million and has asked for rural broadband expansion. Complete the banking RFP. Finance has met with a few banks. Is in the process of collecting sample RFPs for other neighboring jurisdictions to start that process. An organizational assessment and review on delivery services. We're working with staff right now just to kind of go start processing going through all of this. Pillar 6 is engagement, and the goals are listed there. 6.1 is to create a new website platform and enhance social media. We held a work session. Staff is meeting with stakeholders, completing a scope of work in RFP, which I think Brad has just completed, correct? So that RFP is, I think it's been reviewed by the mayor and Councilor Giles at this point, and staff will post online and expect it to go out probably within the next week. And then we begin a review of the previous academies with the goal of an academy this spring. So we gathered all the information from previous ones as a staff. We've met in our weekly meetings to talk about this and talk about a plan forward. So we're looking to review the previous ones, update it, and hopefully start a program in the spring of 2024. Enhancements. So 6.3 is utilize modern communication tools. Enhancements communication will be part of the requirements in the website RFP. 6.4 is to track and respond to analyze citizens' requests. But again, these are included in the scope of work for the RFP that we're getting ready to go out on. 6.5 is considered engagement communication. This was adopted in the 23-24 budget, and job description work has been completed and position will be advertised shortly. There's a lot of current recruitments going on, so I think we have 9 or 10 active recruitments. So we'll continue with that.
Be busy.
6.6 is develop a comprehensive approach to doing surveys, enables strategy and execution. This is again included in the scope of work for the website / citizen engagement. 6.7 is continue to refine our marketing materials for industry. It's not something we've started, but something that we would look at that job posting potentially to work on. refine branding. Again, we would look to see if we could do that. We are having some conversations with some branders, just some individual conversations, just informal, to get some information about scope of work and ideas of what we could potentially do.
Chris has put together a lot of materials that we use to market. Are you saying we're not going to get that until the next fiscal year?
I'm saying this is what we would anticipate the new person coming in that we're looking to hire to be focused on and working on. That community, citizen engagement, community outreach person that we're hiring. We have started some, programs, but I wouldn't classify that as really a defined marketing or materials. We are working to enhance our LinkedIn for economic development, encouraging people to go on and do that. So. Review and update hiring process through DEIA. Roles are advertised on diversity sites in addition to government jobs and Indeed. It's something we're just looking to increase where we're promoting our jobs to make sure we hit a diverse group of people. And then consider youth advisory is similar. It's been completed. We're working on the project currently with the school district. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions or discuss anything in this presentation.
Well, I have one question, probably for the council, and whether I want to, I do have a contact at the PSU architecture school. Would we want to approach them about making it a contest or a student project to put together something for the gravel lot outside of the, for just a design and concept or something like that? Or do we want to just go with the established architects and stuff like that?
I don't know if we can answer that now. In my mind, and we do have another presentation we're gonna get to.
Okay,
So
sorry.
it's an interesting idea, though.
Just a thought though, if we're going to go, if we would go that way, we might consider the Bowman program.
Yeah.
Just,
Depending on what we're building.
yeah, just something.
Yeah,
else.
but even direction on.
But that might be, if we're gonna go either one of those routes, we might need to give a little bit more clarity of direction.
Right, yeah.
All right, let's,
All right, well,
is there any other questions?
maybe talk about it in your one-on-one with Keith and again, I'm not locking us into anything, but.
All right, Kristen is up, I think, next, right? And talk about some art.
Yes.
I thought you said heart. You're gonna talk about some heart.
Our part was part.
Heart, heart.
Yeah, sure.
Like we're missing out.
Right, well, Kristen, you are up. And if we need to run a little bit long, that's okay. So,
Well.
we have a very full meeting tonight in the regular.
We're gonna
meeting.
use it like midnight, I think.
Looking forward, I think.
I can move their heads if you want me to, maybe. There we go. Come over there. We don't need to see ourselves,
Keep
right?
Keith off the screen, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm very excited to talk about the roundabout art. This is for Oregon Street. Just a little bit of background information. We've been discussing this project for a couple of years now, but back in March of 2023, we issued an RFP. We indicated that we were interested most likely in some sort of wildlife, something that felt natural to the area, not too abstract or crazy. That was at least what we envisioned for there. We had two artists respond, two Oregon-based artists respond to the RFP. And after review of their work and taking a look at some of the examples, felt inclined to really pursue conversations with Danae. And she came to Sherwood in August, and we visited the site. We were able to walk out to the middle of the roundabout and look at it from all different angles. I don't suggest trying to walk to the middle of the roundabout. Had to kind of sprint.
Oh, you had some flaggers out.
Yeah, we were like waving our arms. We did look at all different directions of the roundabout. We looked at Oregon Street facing southwest, Murdoch Street facing north. And initially we thought that this could be a good location, but once we got on site and really tried to envision it, it just didn't seem like the right location. So I was super glad that she was able to come out and we could have some conversations with her, and then Oregon Street facing east. So as I mentioned, we had 2 artists who responded. Danae Miller is the sculpture artist that we have selected. We did ask her after seeing the site to update some conceptual designs. She had sent in some examples of her work before. And if you've ever driven over to Sisters or gone into Sisters, the large roundabout right there entering into Sisters by the DQ and the McDonald's, that's her work there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so as you drive in, take a look next time.
It's beautiful.
I drove around it a couple times. I almost made my kids get sick.
It's been a while, but it's.
Yeah. So this is an example of, I wanted to show this because this just shows the detail up close. It's hard to tell in the other drawings what it really looks like. But this is example of her work. This is a completed deer that she already has. This would be the least expensive option if we wanted to do something. And as we looked at where this could be located, makes it look like it's jumping a little bit, but on Oregon Street, as you're coming in to the right there, as of where the one-way sign is, seemed to be a good location, she felt. So this would be our least expensive option, and then we just, I'm sorry,
Coming in from Oregon Street. Is that right?
Coming into town.
I mean,
So right is heading toward Old Town.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. This is option, what we're calling 2A, which is a larger, little bit larger than life size buck. And she tried to put it in 2 different locations just to see what it would look like. You could kind of put it up on the little mound that's already there and have it up higher, or you could put it down lower in a flat area.
Yeah.
This is another concept that she came up with where you would use basalt rocks and the deer is supposed to be kind of jumping off. So this would be, initially we said $50,000 for the project. So this would be option 3, which there's the price 57,625, and that's installed.
Wow.
So all of these costs we're looking at are installed, but without contingency. So we would want to add in a 10% contingency.
And I assume we are responsible for all maintenance after installation.
Yes.
So one deer was 35. So a little over 20,000 to install the basalt. rocks.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
Yeah,
And this is.
And we-
Right?
yeah, this is already existing, and so she doesn't have to go and build it, and the cost of materials has gone up considerably. So this one, just because it's being made from scratch, is a bit more.
I like 2 and 3.
So then that's the basalt deer. Then the other option would be to pair that with the existing deer that we already have, and to do that along with the basalt rocks and the
We
jumping.
have a deer, we have a deer.
Well, no,
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
the one that she already has, I'm sorry. Sorry.
You threw me off with that one.
So that would be another option, which we're calling option 4. And then option 5 would be doing the buck, which is a bit larger, and using the basalt rocks and the deer jumping off the basalt rocks.
The more the better.
You like that one?
is there an option 6?
No. No option 6.
Because the council president had an interesting twist on this idea.
So I certainly, thanks, Mayor. I really like this artist. I like the work that this artist has done in other communities. We are a family town. So I am a fan of option 5, but maybe even an option 5A would be a couple, 1 or 2 fawns added. So, we're a family town. Or as I was thinking earlier today, maybe this option 5 is what you install year 1 and then come back year 2 and surprise people and put in a couple of twins.
Oh, they've had baby, had a baby.
I like that. I am,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I say I also like option 5, of course. It's such a big space that
It is a
one
big
just
space.
doesn't,
It gets
one
lost.
feels like I'm putting a miniature out on something. I think having, yeah, more.
And just for reference, kind of a historical note. Folks may or may not be aware, but when we did we did happen to spend an awful lot of money when we did the 2 Meineke roundabouts with the fountains. And we did this, and it was a much larger roundabout and tried to have it blend in with nature. We got a lot of community crap, blowback for not doing something a little more. So I think this is play really, really well. And then the idea of, I'm not as excited about the doe jumping down like that. I love the rock though, maybe more rock too. I don't know.
So it wasn't apparent to me. I thought she was kicking the rock when I first saw it.
Yeah, I'm with you. That one's
So
Weird to me,
Well,
just a different pose.
yeah, I was gonna say, and by the way, these are conceptual, the rock may be different and stuff like that, but the reason I like motion on this one and the other one though, is because when you showed me number 2, I think it was 1 or 2,
Mhm.
I thought to myself, if I was driving into town, it actually may not be apparent that that was a
Ooh,
statue of a deer.
Right.
Versus a deer that's in the middle of the road that I have to be worried about hitting. Right, and so the frozen in motion
It's a good
makes
point.
it very clear that it is a statue. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. I think we just have to see a final rendering to make sure it's apparent, clear.
Yeah,
That the deer is jumping off the rocks, not trying to kick it.
yeah, exactly, because this one and the one next to it, or the second one. By the way, and I love the artist, I'm with Keith on this, that I love the artist and I like the representation. I think that having the motion would be key to it working, but
I like 5 with a different pose for the deer. I like the buck. I think that you need that. It's majestic. The deer pose, I'm kind of with Tim. When I saw it, I'm like, it looked weird to me, but I realized the concept.
What about the rock with the doe? Well,
Well, that's what I was wondering, but the doe, can we see the doe one again?
The one that's already done.
Yeah.
so it's a buck,
oh, yeah.
It is a buck, right?
small
yeah.
buck.
Yeah.
Just cut the words off.
Yeah.
It's
The words off.
just smaller. So for reference, that one's 64 inches tall, including the antlers, 54 inches long and 12 inches wide. And then,
64 inches tall,
mhm,
that's the same height as me. It's tall, people.
and then for the one she's gonna create, she suggests beefing it up, make them a little bit more than a life size, just because of the space.
Yeah.
I think you have to do something like 5. Otherwise, like 1 just gets lost. That was my initial, when I opened this up and looked at it, my initial thought was like,
Yeah, like.
this base is enormous and we're putting this tiny little thing on it. So.
Well, and one's not my preferred choice either, but I did want to try to present something that was within the original budget that we discussed.
How much do we have in our public art budget right now?
Yes.
Well, what we had budgeted was 50,000, but what we have in the current art, currently right now. As of today, a little over 141,000, but then by the end of the year, I'm projecting about 173,000 total to spend. It's just way go.
I love the basalt because it adds some structure and it's a nod to, I mean, this is all basalt volcanic land, which a lot of people don't know. So it's a reminder of that.
So if I'm hearing correctly, maybe work on option 5 with the basalt, maybe look at some different options for the position of the deer or the action or of the doe, what she's doing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And I'd love a
Yeah.
budget for a couple of fawns.
I like your idea of adding them in a year from now. I
Yeah,
like
me
that
too.
a lot.
It would absolutely surprise people. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe get, if we do have a little extra cash, it would be fun to get little Santa hats or other things to stick on them.
Rudolph, do we get the little red nose on it?
Outlets out there for Christmas lights, yeah.
The pumpkin out there, you know.
And if we do that, can we move the sign?
The welcome to Sherwood sign.
No, the one-way sign.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know that we can do that because of where the,
Doubtful. We actually need that sign.
I'm gonna mess
I
this
think,
up.
I think you can do it,
If there's just some flexibility.
Right. Put the image back
certainly
up.
can do shorter,
Try
for
to
sure.
close the window.
Well, yeah, because even if, what if we were to shorten it? Get it 3 feet tall or something.
All right,
Fine.
so it sounds like 5 with refinements is where we're all sitting.
Yeah, I'm happy with doubling the budget.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we
I'd
do,
rather get something worthwhile.
Right.
Than feel like it's incomplete.
and if we know we want to do, add a pond later on, we can talk about how do we structure that deal with the artist?
Right.
Yeah.
And we can get
And
the
maybe-
pricing.
When the plan's laid out, envision already where it's gonna go, like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, exactly, a master
Right,
plan.
and we do have to pour pads and make sure these are, engineered obviously and
Heavy
secure.
are these?
I'm sorry, what?
How heavy are these? You don't know?
No.
Curious.
Yeah,
Anyways, okay.
I'm not sure.
And protect them from graffiti and stuff too.
Right. Well, luckily it is hard to get out there, so that might take care of it.
You've seen some of the places people graffiti.
That's true.
I'm always like, how do they get there?
That bridge over the freeway.
Right,
Great.
any other questions?
Yeah.
Kristen?
Any other
You got-
thoughts or questions for me? And then do you want me to just share a couple of ideas and options through Keith? And
That's fine.
we don't necessarily need to have another work session. It sounds like. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds great.
Did the art commission help in this?
Oh, yeah.
No, this one was outside because of the Arts Commission. This was just a city commission one. So we actually did a little bit of research on that. And oftentimes with roundabouts, it's the city or the city council that does the selection as opposed to
That's
necessarily bringing in the commission.
awesome. Well, once we decide, we can share it with them and.
Right, absolutely. Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good job, Kristen.
Thank you. Well, with that, we need other topics or anything else anyone wants to talk about real quick. We got 3 minutes.
Are we done recording?
Well, we should keep it.
Uh,
I think we attended.
All right, I'll take you that as a no, and we'll adjourn this meeting in 5 minutes. We'll